The Hungarian Grand Prix gave us what we expected from a classic Formula 1 showdown. From McLaren's perfect 1-2 finish to Ferrari's missed opportunity and Mercedes' quiet resurgence, this was a race that had everything. And in today's special episode, we'll break down the most important moments, lap by lap, tactics, and what it all means going into the summer break. Oscar Piastri was the first of the frontrunners to pit, stopping on lap 18. This move was meant to challenge Leclerc and try to undercut the Ferrari by using fresher tires to set faster laps. Ferrari responded by bringing Leclerc in on the very next lap. McLaren's strategy team then made a crucial decision. Norris would try a one-stop race, which means stopping only once to change tires instead of 2 times, hoping that by spending less time driving through the pit lane, he could get ahead.
On his championship rival, Charles Leclerc is trying to break the toe. Norris won't go for it to the inside, might be compromised. George Russell is up to third.
For Norris, this choice meant he had to manage his tires very well over a longer distance. If he pushed too hard, he'd risk the tires growing too old and losing grip by the end of the race, leaving him vulnerable to cars behind on fresher rubber. This was a big gamble, but Norris and his engineer felt confident. By the end of the first pit stop phase, Norris stretched his first stint all the way to lap 31 before switching to hard tires. It's a compound meant to last many laps. This meant that for the second part of the race, he would not stop again, unlike his teammate Piastri and Leclerc, who both committed to a 2-stop plan and were banking on fresher tires at the end to be able to attack. During the middle of the race, the front positions kept changing as drivers made their pit stops at different times. Leclerc pitted again in lap 40, while Norris and Piastri kept running. At this stage, Norris was leading, but he had to keep his pace fast enough to avoid being caught later. George Russell, driving for Mercedes, was also in contention, but could not keep up with the McLarens as the laps went by. He would eventually finish in third place. Oscar Piastri, after making his second and final pit stop in lap 45, took a fresh set of hard tires. This allowed him to be much faster than Norris in the final laps because his tires were newer and had more grip. The gap between Norris and Piastri after the second round of stops was as much as 12 seconds, but Piastri began to cut into Norris's lead at a rate of second per lap or more. With about 10 laps remaining, it was clear the battle for the win would come down to the 2 McLaren drivers. This brought extra tension, not just because they're teammates, but also because their points battle is so close in the championship. At the start of the race, Piastri led Norris by only a few points, and whoever finished ahead would get a big psychological boost going into the summer break. As Oscar Piastri reeled Norris in, the excitement built. With just a few laps to go, Piastri got within 2 seconds of Norris. The 2 orange McLarens were nose to tail, racing each other hard but fairly. Overtaking in Hungary is always difficult, but Piastri on fresh tires and with a bit more grip tried everything he could to get past. Norris's driving under extreme pressure was a masterclass. He carefully managed his car, kept to the racing line, and never made a significant error. Piastri tried to line up moves using the DRS zones to close in, but Norris positioned his car perfectly. With only a few laps left, Piastri tried a bold move, diving late into turn 1, but it was too far back and he locked up, causing a small flat spot in his tire and missing the chance to overtake. That moment ended Piastri's best hope. Despite one more attempt, Norris held on crossing the finish line just 0.698 seconds ahead of Piastri in one of the closest finishes of the season. McLaren took a memorable 1-2 result, marking their 200th win in Formula 1, which is a special milestone only matched by Ferrari. Behind them, George Russell kept a steady pace and passed Leclerc for third, securing a return to the podium for Mercedes. And Leclerc, despite starting on pole, dropped to fourth, unhappy with how Ferrari's strategy played out in the end. Further down the order, Fernando Alonso gave Aston Martin a strong result in 5th place. While Max Verstappen had one of his worst weekends, finishing a disappointing 9th after starting 8th and facing car problems all race. Verstappen was more than a minute behind Norris at the flag, a rare sight in recent F1 seasons. In this Grand Prix, tire management and clever strategy were more important than pure speed. Norris's ability to gently push his car, save the tires, and stay relaxed, especially when Piastri was closing in, played a huge role in his victory. His radio calls throughout the race showed he remained calm, never panicking even when the pressure was highest. For Piastri, the race showed just how strong he is as a competitor and how close he is to getting another win. Even though he could not pass Norris, he kept a cool head and accepted second place, picking up important championship points. After the race, both drivers talked about respect and working as a team even while fighting each other for the win. McLaren's strategic thinking to choose a one stop for Norris and two stops for Piastri was the decisive factor in beating Ferrari and Mercedes. On a circuit known for making overtaking tough, getting the plan perfect can mean the difference between winning and losing. Then, let's talk about Charles Leclerc. The weekend began on a high. He secured pole position on a brilliant Q3 session. His qualifying performance was helped in part by a directional change in the wind and a slight drop in temperature. This played to Ferrari's aerodynamic strength. Their car generated better downforce in those exact conditions. Sector 2 was especially where Leclerc extracted the most time, handling the challenging corners with surgical precision. But while the pole looked impressive, it was actually a result of conditions that masked Ferrari's deeper weaknesses, especially under lighter fuel loads. At the beginning of the race, Leclerc looked strong, leading confidently, but Ferrari's biggest issue once again came down to their inability to anticipate and trust the race flow. McLaren, particularly Oscar Piastri, appeared to fake a pit stop to manipulate Ferrari's hand. It worked. Ferrari brought in Leclerc earlier than optimal, placing him in hard tires and reducing front wing load to protect the rear. With less front-end grip, Leclerc's car became nearly undrivable. His frustrations exploded on the team radio, claiming the car was impossible to manage and begging for more control over race decisions. In hindsight, Leclerc's plea to manage the tire situation himself wasn't just emotional overreaction, it was a genuine indication of a driver who understands his own tools better than those watching from the pit wall. Charles has a unique driving platform. He can balance the car with subtle inputs and adapt to rear-end instability. But what he cannot accept is a front end with no grip. And that's exactly what Ferrari gave him. The car became a knife with a broken handle. It could turn improperly and it couldn't accelerate cleanly. The team had taken away the one thing Charles thrives on front-end response, and after the strategy blunder, Leclerc lost pace dramatically and dropped to fourth by the end. It was not only Oscar Piastri who overtook him, but also George Russell. Russell, in contrast, drove a methodical and mature race. Starting just behind the Ferrari and the McLarens, he remained calm, executed his overtakes efficiently, and showed excellent tire management. In fact, Russell recorded the fastest lap of the race, and that wasn't just a cherry on top, but a strong statement. He said it despite other drivers having harder, newer tires. His ability to keep the car square to the road gave Mercedes a competitive edge in the long stints. Although Russell did complain over the radio about Leclerc's movement under braking, he ultimately got the job done. While Leclerc's maneuvers bordered on desperate defense, Russell maintained composure. His radio complaints may not have been well received by all, but they were within bounds considering the stakes. Russell finished third, ahead of Leclerc, which was a well-earned podium and arguably the best drive of the day. Despite all the drama, the real story may be how much Mercedes has quietly improved its race pace and how much Russell has matured in wheel-to-wheel situations. Behind Leclerc and Russell, Fernando Alonso delivered another classic consistent drive. He finished fifth in his Aston Martin, showing no signs of the back pain that kept him out of FP1 earlier in the weekend. Even at 43, Alonso continues to defy expectations and maximize the package he's given. He's one of the few drivers who keeps the car calm, clean, and neutral throughout the race. Traits that are increasingly valuable in long, high-degradation races like Hungary. Another notable performer was Gabriel Bortoleto in the Sauber Ferrari. The young Brazilian driver qualified well and matched his qualifying pace during the race. He maintained composure, made no major mistakes, and finished solidly in the points. And this consistency will be key if he wants to stay in contention for a better seat in 2026. Lance Stroll also made it into the points with a P7 finish. Although not flashy, his drive was clean and strategic, aided by a steady two-stop plan. Max Verstappen had a much tougher day. His Red Bull suffered significant tire degradation, forcing him into two stops and costing him time. Despite multiple overtakes, many of which happened without DRS assistance, Max could only manage P9. While he may have overtaken the most cars during the race, the Red Bull just didn't have the pace or consistency in Hungary. Interestingly, Max's strategy mirrored what Kimi and Telly tried in other Mercedes. Both efforts failed to pay off, highlighting just how fine the margins were on this circuit. Liam Lawson, driving for Racing Bulls, also had a steady outing and finished where he qualified. His teammate Isaac Hadjar ended 11th, just outside the points, but showed excellent track awareness throughout the weekend. The team will be pleased with the overall package they delivered in Hungary. Lewis Hamilton, however,
useless. Absolutely useless.
Any answers anywhere? I mean, this car, they're trying to get this car in a better position for you.
The team has no problem. You've seen the cars on pole, so we probably need to change driver.
Had one of the most disappointing weekends in recent memory. He started 12th and never looked competitive. Mercedes placed him on the hard tire at the start, hoping for a longer stint, but the plan didn't work. By the time he could make use of the mediums, the advantage was gone. He did gain a few positions, but the final result was underwhelming. Hamilton's race performance wasn't the only issue. His emotional interview after qualifying, where he openly doubted his own ability and even suggested the team should replace him, shocked many fans. While some interpreted it as sarcasm or emotional vulnerability, others questioned his mental focus and dedication to the sport. With his Ferrari move approaching next season, Hamilton may need to use the August break to reset. He must return with renewed clarity and reduced distractions. And the brand, the fame, the external image, all of that must take backseat if he wants to succeed at Ferrari. Just being Lewis, the brand, won't be enough. Ferrari needs Lewis, the pure racer. Hamilton's qualifying on Saturday was already frustrating for him. He called himself useless after ending up 12th on the grid. On race day, he lost positions at the start, fell further behind, and later managed to fight back to where he started. He was also involved in a close on-track battle with Max Verstappen, his longtime rival. That wheel-to-wheel fight did not result in a crash, but it reflected how hard Hamilton was trying to make something out of an otherwise weak weekend. Since joining Ferrari, Hamilton has not yet achieved a single podium in the 2025 season. This is in sharp contrast to his past record. From 2007 to 2024, Hamilton had achieved 197 podium finishes and 103 race wins. In 2024, even while struggling in a less competitive Mercedes car, he still managed 2 podiums. But now, after 12 races into the 2025 season, he has 0 top 3 finishes. This is highly unusual for someone of his caliber. After Sunday's race, Hamilton admitted that there are issues happening in the background that are affecting him. While he didn't reveal the details, his tone suggested that it is something deeper than just performance. He told the media that he simply had a feeling and that a lot is going on in the background that is not great. This raised concern among fans who are used to seeing Hamilton bounce back stronger after setbacks. Despite the difficulties, Hamilton said he's looking forward to the next race, the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, scheduled for August 29 to 31. He hopes the summer break will give him time to reset and come back refreshed. He said, "Hopefully I'll be back," which sounded uncertain but also hinted at a desire to continue fighting. On the flip side, McLaren walked away from Hungary looking like the smartest team on the grid. Their gamble with the one-stop strategy worked perfectly. Lando Norris in particular benefited from the clean track, the calm head, and the steady car. Oscar Piastri was equally impressive until his near miss with Norris forced him to back off. The fact that the team avoided collision and still managed to secure strong finishes shows the balance they have found between team orders and freedom to race. So, as always, don't hesitate to comment down your thoughts on this race, and while you're down there, make sure to smash that subscribe button for more upcoming videos.